Hey guys, this is Chetan for Gizmo Times and you're watching a quick unboxing and hands-on with the entire overview of the Realme 8S 5G. This is yet another 5G smartphone in the mid-range under 20,000 rupees price category from Realme. Realme actually has quite a few good options already, but this one comes in as the first smartphone having the Dimensity 810 CPU, and the phone comes in two color options, that's universal blue and universal purple. So the one we have is the universal blue option here, but the major specs are given on the top. Dimensity 800 5G processor, there's a 5000 mAh battery with 33-watt fast charging, that's 11V3A, and then there's a 64 megapixel primary camera on the back, and this isn't a 120Hz display that we had seen on the Realme 8i. The 8i actually has a 120Hz display, and both being IPS LCD, the difference here is in the refresh rates, where the Realme 8i has a faster refresh rate, but the Realme 8s 5G comes with the 90Hz refresh rate. And these are the major specs. Obviously there's a lot more things to talk about here, and if we talk about the chipset itself, this is a 5G chipset based on a 6nm architecture process, and the 6nm actually helps a lot in the battery efficiency, making the battery life much better. And given this has a 5000 mAh battery, the battery life should be actually quite amazing. The brightness here for the Realme 8s 5G is 600 nits at max, and that's a good brightness actually if you talk about the mid-range smartphones. Now once we open up the box package, what we see are these things. Firstly, the transparent rubber cover, then we have the couple of booklets, that's the safety guide and also the quick start guide. And apart from that, this is the smartphone itself, that's the Realme 8 5G, 8S 5G in fact, not the 8 5G. The 8 5G was a separate device. Now this one actually looks much better than the Realme 8i 5G. If we talk about the way it feels and looks like, this is not a glossy back, this does not even feel like a glossy one. It's not a smooth finish, it's kind of a matte finish, and the colors projected from this, when put it against the light, they actually look much better when compared to the Realme 8i 5G. The Realme 8i is not a 5G smartphone against the Realme 8i in fact, and the branding on the back says Matrix AI camera, and it's a triple camera combination. The fourth one here on the right top is just going to mention AI, and it has nothing in that. There's an LED flashlight over here. So the entire camera module area looks good enough, and on the front you have the 6.5-inch Full HD Plus display with the 90Hz refresh rate. It's an IPS LCD display as mentioned earlier. If you talk about the physical aspect of this smartphone, there's the USB Type-C port and also the 3.5mm headset jack, microphone and a speaker grill towards the bottom. And on the top you have the secondary microphone. On the left you have the SIM access area, which has a dedicated micro SD card slot. On the left you also have the volume rocker buttons, and on the right you have the power button, which also functions as a fingerprint sensor. So that's a good thing. You can easily use this as that additional security option. Now this is the 90Hz display that you see here, but let's keep the phone aside. We'll talk about the phone later. Before that, let's see what else comes into the box package. So you obviously have the USB Type-C cable, which indicates that the phone is going to have the USB Type-C connectivity and a proper connectivity for both charging the phone in a quick charging way, and also connected to the laptop for the file transfer and data transfer. So this is a 11V3A 33-watt charger given in the box itself. You don't have to buy a fast charger separately. That's what we've seen Realme doing in most of its smartphones. You don't have to buy the charger separately because most of them come with a fast charger inside the box itself. Now let's take a look at the smartphone itself. So this is the Realme 8S 5G. Now if we talk about the pre-installed applications, most of what we are seeing here would be pre-installed except a few. So the benchmarks obviously are installed by us. The Battleground Mobile India also installed by us. It's not pre-installed. Everything else here is pre-installed. So you have some of the social media apps, some OTT platforms as well here, and apart from that you have all the Google Play apps pre-installed. And if we talk about the benchmarks over here, we have already done the benchmark testing. Since this is a new chipset, it's obvious to actually check out the capability of the chipset. So we have done the Antutu benchmark with the 3,80,000 score coming out of it, in which the CPU score is quite good. So this is going to be a very good one for regular users. Even for gamers, the GPU score isn't bad, but it's still not going to be one of the best over there. And for Geekbench, these are the scores for single core and multi-core tests. Now if we talk about the gaming itself, as we have mentioned about it, this is the Dimensity 810 100U was present on a couple of smartphones earlier, and it did offer some decent gaming, but not one of the best if we call it under 20,000 rupees price range. So the 810, is it going to make things any better? That's what we are gonna check here. And once this update is done, I'll show you the graphic settings that are possible and a quick gameplay as well for you to understand how good the gaming capabilities of the smartphone are. Obviously, with Realme, one struggle that we have seen in the recent times is that if we actually record the gameplay while playing it, there is some issue in the gaming, because that leads to some lags and frame drops. But if you're not recording and just enjoying the game out there, it's going to give you quite a good performance. And with the default settings of BGMI, this is not going to give you the 60 FPS option on any graphic settings. So even on smooth graphics, you would get the best of 40 FPS. That's smooth and high. You won't get smooth and extreme. So let's confirm that right away. So if you go into the game, this is the graphic settings. You have smooth and ultra, you have balanced ultra as well, HD and high. There's no HDR option. So in terms of the graphic settings or the graphic output, you're going to get the same settings on both the Realme 8S 5G and also on the Realme 8i. Both of them launched together. Now we'll have to just activate game space here to also show you what all comes inside the game space, because that's something most of the gamers would want to know about and talk about. So we have the different modes for gamers. You have the balanced mode, low power mode, and the pro gamer mode. Activating the pro gamer mode actually helps in making getting the better output from the CPU and GPU over here. And here what you see is a similar kind of a thing for the game space when compared to some of the other Realme smartphones. But on the Realme 8i we have something that was seen on OnePlus and the Oppo's UI, where you have the system monitor. You would be able to see the FPS while playing the game, and the FPS is shown over here, but that was one overlay which would be present when you are playing the game. So that is not seen here. That's one difference, and I don't know why Realme has chosen to give that option in one smartphone and not on the other one. Now in terms of the camera, there's a 64 megapixel primary camera on the back, so you have a dedicated 64 megapixel camera mode to take those high resolution captures. Apart from that, you have the slow motion, time lapse, and pro mode as well. Pro mode as usual has all of the options such as the ISO, shutter speed, white balance, autofocus, and exposure value as well. Now under the camera, if you look at the video recording options, what are the best settings possible? There should be a resolution of the best at 1080 with 30 FPS, and you can't record more than that. So 1080 60 is not possible here. You get the best of 30 FPS on the full HD video recording. With the front camera, this punch hole camera has a 16 megapixel sensor for the selfies, which does a decent job, but still, I mean, you can't call it a selfie shooter, the best selfie shooter out there. It does have its own elements of beautifying the face, and you can turn them off, but then that would actually lead to some very natural photos, which usually selfies people don't like to take in that way. Now for the RAM and storage here, there's UFS 2.1 storage, and for the RAM there's LPDDR4X RAM. And for the settings given here, you obviously have the password and biometrics, where you have both fingerprint and face unlock present over here. Under convenience tools, you have gesture and motion features, assistive ball, split screen. So Realme UI is anyway fully flooded with those features. This is Android 11 based Realme UI 2.0, which we are seeing on every Realme smartphone out there since the past few months. Since the time Realme UI 2.0 was announced, every new smartphone had come in with this new UI, and this is based on the latest Android 11. Not the latest in fact, but still you could call it the latest, because that's what most of the retail smartphones would come in with. This phone also has a dynamic RAM expansion, which can help expand the RAM capacity by about 5 GB. So the Realme 8s that we have here has the combination of 8 GB and 128 GB storage. To that you can add about 5 GB to make it 13 GB. But practically how this helps is if you have a lot of apps running in the background, and some large apps as well, which you don't want to see closed down whenever there's multiple apps running in the background, this expansion of RAM helps in keeping those apps active in the background, and that would help in saving time whenever you're trying to switch between those applications. So these are the things about the Realme 8s 5G. So obviously with the benchmarks, you could see that it has done quite a good job, but we'll have to actually use it for a few days and then see how the day-to-day usage is, how the gaming capacity of capability of the smartphone is. If you want to fully know about the gaming aspect of this smartphone, you can check out our gaming channel, that's Gaming Josh, where you'll get to know about every gaming aspect of this smartphone. But anyway, apart from that, as a usual, the regular smartphone, I would say, is not bad at all, having a 90Hz display, and also having a chipset which is capable of 5G, even though the connectivity is not present right now. In future you might see 5G coming in, and that would be your decision whether to invest early and get a future-proof device, or go on with a 4G smartphone and then look out for a 5G device whenever the network capability or is the network is available at that time. So that's it, guys. This was all about the Realme 8s 5G. I hope you like this video. If you do, share and subscribe to Gizmo Times for more. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.